It's time to rock and roll!
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press movie interviews. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. No Gina University today, no Macaringo. Instead, I'm joined by filmmaker Adam Volerich. I'm sorry. I totally should have asked you pronunciation properly first. I am so sorry. I apologize.
That's perfectly all right. No one ever gets it right, even if I tell them. It is Adam Volerich.
Volerich. Okay. Adam Volerich. Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got linked up by a friend of the show and good friend in real life, Cameron Carpenter. I know
Yes,
he's
one of the
excited to
best to
listen to
ever do
this.
it.
Yeah, truly, truly. What a guy. Hasn't texted me back today though, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna get back to him on that. But tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you?
I'll bump him when we get off of this.
Yeah, thank you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the whole filmmaking thing? Did you wake up one morning and decide, you know what, filmmaking, that's where it's at? Was it straight out the womb? Like, what was the journey like?
It was not straight out the womb. For most of my life, I didn't really properly comprehend that like this was something you could actually do. It didn't really like no one told me that you could be a filmmaker, and so it never actually registered with me that that was a thing that you could do. It just sort of seemed so completely out of reach, and like that's for other people. But I'd always loved, my whole life, I'd loved movies, and I think like a lot of people of kind of our generation, like DVD special features were a huge part of my life, and so I was always kind of obsessively learning about movies. When I was like 16 years old, I saw the Duplass brothers, The Puffy Chair, classic kind of mumblecore movie, and it was the first time I'd seen indie movies before, but it was like the first time I'd seen one that looked the way that that movie looks, other than like I don't know, I guess like Blair Witch or something. And watching that movie, I kind of thought like, oh, like a movie is allowed to look like that. Like I feel like we could make a movie that looks like that. And then that kind of sat in the back of my mind for a while. That wasn't like this is it now. Like as of tomorrow, I'm gonna be a filmmaker. But that sort of was like the first thing. The second thing that happened was that when I was a college student at Rutgers University in New Jersey, the I was getting a degree in English and creative writing as sort of like a first, and I was working very, very hard on all these, writing projects, and was trying to get the interest of publishing entities on some of these things, which in retrospect is like a very kind of like that's like as a 20-year-old, like wow, I really was trying to get published at 20. That's really kind of why was I doing that? I was not nearly good enough to be doing that, but I just wanted to, I was trying to get my stuff out there, and it wasn't working for all the reasons that that wouldn't work. And around the time that that wasn't working, the school, I found a flyer in the school advertising that the school was now going to start offering some filmmaking courses. And this was a kind of a collection of classes that eventually became a Bachelor of Fine Arts program. And is like a proper major that you can major in at the school, and actually I occasionally teach in that program now. But I got that flyer, and it just kind of lit me up. I was like, oh, like, oh my God, I could write a short script, and if I had a camera, I could go make a short film with my friends next week and put it on the internet, and there'd be no waiting for permission, there'd be no trying to get published, there'd be no trying to get the thing out there. I could just go and make it, and then it could exist, and then it could be everywhere. And that was incredibly appealing to me, and it's kind of been just non-stop that ever since, really.
Just to backtrack to a little bit at the beginning of that, for Blair Witch, I think that that hit like a lightning bolt, because I had a
Hmm.
similar response when I finally saw that movie. It's like I was a scaredy cat. I didn't watch scary stuff until I was like 17, 18, and even then it was a couple years before I was like, okay,
Sure.
I could dive into this without being terrified. It's that old Catholic guilt and everything that is
Yeah.
no longer relevant to me. But that's interesting, and it's always very inspiring to hear that people try, like even at a young age when like it doesn't work out. right away in terms of your writing and getting published. Like the
Hmm.
fact that you were willing to do that, like that's such a huge step that most people can't or won't make for various reasons. So I mean, you've just been hungry for this forever, it seems like.
I guess so. It's funny. I've been asked this question, like, how did it all start, like a few times now, and like recognizing that part of the journey. I'm like, oh, like I guess I really was just trying to make things and put it out there, kind of for a really, really long time, and I wasn't even like consciously clocking that, like that's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. But I guess that's what it was.
Yeah. No, I mean it's great and clearly, it's paying off. I mean, you've got a Drink and Be Merry now, your
Hmm.
feature film directorial debut, and
Yes,
yeah, let's jump to that. Christmas
totally.
movies.
Yes.
Like, is that a subgenre you're very passionate about? I got the sense that you were, but I don't want to lead the question too much.
Sure. Yeah. Yes and no. I love Christmas time. It's always very fun. I am actually Jewish, but I spent my younger years in England, where Christmas is very much a national holiday that everyone celebrates. It's very all encompassing. And, I loved it very much. And even years after my family emigrated here, we celebrated a very English Christmas. We didn't do a Christmas tree or anything, but like, we had a turkey with gravy. We had a Christmas pudding, with custard, and, we set it on fire and everything. For a few years there, we had mince pies and Christmas crackers. Actually, my parents still do the mince pies, but now they've sort of fully assimilated and they do the Chinese food in a movie, proper kind of East Coast New York Jew behavior. But I've always loved Christmas time. My favorite Christmas movies, with the exception of like one, which I'll name in a moment, are kind of always like the counter programming for Christmas. Like I watch Die Hard every year, which I know is was at first controversial and then was sort of like agreed upon that it's gotten very annoying. But I love Die Hard. I watch it every year on Christmas. It is what it is. But then I think the most Christmassy Christmas movie that I truly adore is Muppets Christmas Carol, which I also watch basically every year. It's just one of the best movies of all time.
It totally is, and you're right about Die Hard. Like, look, some guys, sometimes stuff is just good, Like, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's talked about a lot, but it's like, okay, oh, The Godfather is one of the best movies ever. Like, yeah, some things just are. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
they're popular for a reason sometimes, you
Right.
know. And I'm assuming the Griffin Newman line is basically like a stand-in for your relationship to Christmas. I mean, I was curious. I was like, I wonder. And then now with you saying that your relationship with Christmas is different than someone who's raised Catholic, for example, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought it also just sort of felt like the perfect time in the movie for someone to kind of throw back in the face of Chet, the main character, who's very Christmas obsessed. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I have like a real life going on that you've like helped fuck up for the moment. I'm not really worried about Christmas right now.
Yeah, there's this really great, like, darkly humorous tone throughout the film. It's got this really great, like, almost anti-Christmas magic. It's a little more melancholy, but you got your protagonist kind
Yeah.
of like, no, Christmas is great. Christmas, and I believe that they believe Christmas is great. I love Christmas, so I'm definitely in that mindset.
Hmm.
But the movie kind of works as like a sort of a buoyant reality, like, splash of cold water to the face. Like, well, maybe stuff's not magical sometimes. So it's interesting to hear you talk about
Totally.
your relationship to Christmas and that, like, yeah, you like the Christmas time, but even your favorite Christmas movies are the unorthodox Christmas movies, and um, is that the impetus for making this your first feature? I know I'm sure there's a lot of logistical stuff we could get into about, like, because directors don't get to
Yeah.
just pick and choose their projects willy-nilly. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of deals, it's a lot of legal bullshit. But yeah, where did this come from, I guess is the question.
Totally. No, it's a great question. I mean, yeah, like I've always loved Christmas, and in particular the more melancholy Christmas movies. Like another one that comes to mind, actually, like a moment that kind of really imprinted me is in Gremlins, when they talk about how like Christmas is like a time when people kill themselves. I remember watching that as a kid and being like so taken with it. And I feel like that movie, it sort of opened up this kind of like other arm of Christmas to me that I quite like. But I didn't write the script. This script is written by a friend of mine named Leo Winters. He's an incredibly talented writer, and the two of us met at a film festival. I screened a film of mine called Misprint, which some of the creative team from this film also worked on, including my producer, Brendan Hubbard. And it stars Jefferson White, who is also the lead of this movie. So we were screening that film at the Art of Brooklyn Film Festival. Leo was there with a film that he had written called Hold to Dash, which is a movie starring Jack Dunphy about a like video game Twitch streamer. And it was just sort of very serendipitous. We both really liked each other's films, and we hung out at the after party, got to talking, decided to stay in touch. I was really trying to get a feature length version of Misprint off the ground at that time, and I was just getting told no quite often. You know, it was a little too ambitious, it was a little too expensive. People didn't want to take a chance on a first time feature director. You know, I heard every version of no over the course of about, I'd say, like a year or so. And that's hardly the first feature project I had tried to get made. But I was getting all these no's, and around the time I was getting all those no's, Leo sent me the script for Drink and Be Merry, and it had all these elements that I really loved. I really like movies about guys who just cannot fucking figure it out. You know, I think perhaps because I grew up watching so many of these sort of, you know, Gen X kind of apathetic slacker comedies and like workplace dramedies. There's obviously like a bit of Clerks in this film. But I grew up watching a lot of those films. I love those movies. But I think that there's a more complex version of, you know, guys just cannot fucking handle it that's sort of unraveling around us all the time these days. And so the script contained a lot of those elements. There's a lot of these characters who are maybe not on the surface the most likable folks, but they all had some element of them that I was fascinated by in terms of why is it that they are like this, and I enjoyed, you know, trying to kind of uncover that with all these characters. And then the other thing that was very appealing about it, other than, you know, the great character writing and the dark sense of humor, was the fact that it was set mostly in a dive bar. I love bar movies. I love single location films. This isn't a single location film. We do venture outside the bar, but the vast majority of it does take place there. And when I was reading it, my brain sort of like auto filled the location that we did eventually get to shoot in, which is the Alum Witch Pub in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I mentioned earlier I was a student at Rutgers and that I teach there a little bit now. That was my bar when I was a student. I used to hang out there all the time. And it just, I think because it was such a formative time in my life, and also because it's just a damn good dive bar, like it has become the gold standard to which I hold up all other bars. And so I'm reading this script and I'm imagining, you know, these scenes taking place in the bar. I'm starting to like block out the scenes in my head. And it just sort of starts to feel like I could really do this. And if I could get, you know, a bar, you know, maybe this one, but if I get a bar to agree to a low enough location fee, it kind of feels like this is the most doable project that's like ever come across my lap. And so I decided to reach out to the bar, and I was had a great conversation with Robert D'Elia, who runs the place, and he was incredibly gracious and offered us a very reasonable rental rate for the location. It also had like another brilliant sort of thing that made it a better option than any bar in New York, which is that New York bars very often will open at 10 a.m. and then stay open until 4 a.m. This is a bar that primarily serves college students, so it is, you know, closed until 5 p.m. 5 days a week, 7 p.m. 2 days a week, and doesn't open up again, and closes rather around like, you know, between 11 and 2, depending on how busy the bar is. So there's a lot of time when that bar was closed where I was able to sort of pitch, you know, we'll only shoot when you are shut down. We will black out the windows to fake for for nighttime, and like we will be out of here before you have to like set up for the day. And I think that was very much a helpful selling point to him as far as being able to offer us the space.
Oh, that's great. Big dive bar fan here as well. I got one in LA that I go to once a month at least. Like it's the best.
Hell yeah.
Uh, Random question then. Darts
Yeah.
or pool?
I'm more of a pool guy, although when I say that, like I'm bad at both. I just enjoy pool more.
Same, by the
I'm not
way.
a particularly coordinated person.
Yeah, see, sometimes I'm in the zone, and other times I'm like, oh no, I got this, and I absolutely do not got
Yeah.
this. It's embarrassing. Um, yeah, but that's really great. You got to go back to a place you're already so comfortable with. You know how
Hmm.
to fit in this space. You don't have to figure it out. I mean, you're figuring out shots like you're talking about and
Yeah.
the blocking and everything. But yeah, that's really great to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
people don't.
actually is sorry, yeah, it actually was where I'd had the rap party for my first like student short film as well. So there was a lot of kind of nice like narrative circularity to shooting the movie there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, people don't really talk about the financials that go into like locations as much. Like
Hmm.
it is obvious to people who talk about it or make it as, but when people are like, I'm gonna go do my first thing, and I'm not trying to shoot anyone down, but it is just the reality of it, It's like you have to
Yeah.
figure out logistics, the economics of it. And so it's really great that you had that all um basically figured out, it sounds like. Um
Well, sort of, it's always there's the number of things that pop up that cost money that you don't realize or don't think about is it's a long list, but with the bar being affordable, the movie very much became possible.
Yeah. And so if I could ask, like when you're in the space and you're lighting the whole thing, you've got to take stuff down between the setups then because the bar is in operation. How much of like the Christmas decorations, for example, like was that you guys and you guys got to put them up really fast, take them down, or is it like you guys just happened to shoot around the time and the space was just almost lit for you? Obviously, you're bringing lighting and everything, you got your packages, but was that,
Yeah, no, I'll walk you through it. So we shot the film in April. As far as the no, sorry, we shot the film in yeah, it's like like the last couple days of April and the first few days of May of last year of 2024. And we our production designer Christina Coleman she Christmasified the bar, and with the exception of a couple of the kind of like larger objects that were like living in the space, like the Christmas tree and the like dancing Santas, we left everything else up, like all the Christmas lights, all the wreaths, all the things like that. It was just sort of like an agreement that the bar was comfortable with us leaving those things up if we were comfortable with the idea that not 100% of them would be there or be functional in the way we needed them to be. It was sort of like that's the risk we have to take. Like if we want to save time during wrap and during beginning of the day, that was kind of like, we just kind of did the risk assessment and we were like, I think collectively we're going to save like 9 hours this week if we, and that's like a whole day of production. So if we just leave that stuff up, I think that's probably the move. So we left all the lights up. There were bulbs that got blown and we did have to then rush out to try and find replacements for some things, but it's like we came with replacements, and by the end of the shoot, we was like, oh, we need replacements for the replacements. But yeah, so that was how we did the Christmas of it all. But the thing we were like rushing to do every morning was we were my co DP Jack Mannion. It was his idea. He was like, I think the quickest way for us to do the windows every morning is let's buy black tarp from Home Depot and let's glue Velcro strips to them, and then let's attach Velcro to the outside of the bar itself. And that way, every morning we can just run in and like slap these tarps against like the window frames, and they'll perfectly black out the windows. And I had been watching bar movies that were clearly either shot on studios or shot in real locations, and they're faking nighttime during the day. And I noticed that the ones where they just blacked out the windows, those images tended to not have much depth to them. They felt pretty flat. So, and I noticed the ones that did feel more dimensional, the thing they were doing is they were leaving the slats of the blinds open, and then they had some kind of like, neon, beer logo like in the window. So it felt like there was, it's nighttime outside, but there's this kind of, this light coming in. And it felt just like a very good effect. So then I went on went on Amazon and I bought a bunch of these little LED faux neon signs that we hung up inside the windows between the blinds and the tarp on the outside. And then at the end of the shoot, I returned them all to Amazon. But so we were putting those up every morning. And then the other thing we did as far as transforming the bar is all of the light fixtures in the bar that took standard sized light bulbs. We replaced all of them with the Aperture BC7s, which, if any indie filmmakers out there, those are they look like household bulbs. They're made by Aperture, which is a popular brand of LED lighting, and you can remote wirelessly control them and dial in any color temperature and any intensity that is necessary for you. So we put all of those in the fixtures, and then we added in these little table lamps throughout the bar, which also had those bulbs in them, because we had gone to our like tech scout, and I knew I wanted to do a lot of wider shots. I kind of have gotten sick of micro budget indie movies all looking like handheld on an 85 millimeter lens, and every movie just kind of looks the same, and it's all close ups and there's nothing else. And I just wanted to make sure we were never doing that. And so therefore we needed to be able to light for the whole space, and we need to be able to capture wide images. And when you have no money and you can't grid anything on the ceiling and the ceiling's in frame, we needed to be able to motivate wherever our key light was coming from. We need to be able to motivate it from somewhere. So thought the idea of doing these table lamps was the clever thing to do, and we bought these lamp bases and lamp shades and kind of mixed and matched until we found something that was the right size and it looked like it fit in the space. At one point we had even kind of ad-libbed some dialogue where the regulars are kind of making fun of Chet for having tried to make the bar look nicer. It ended up on the cutting room floor, but yeah, so that was what we were rushing in and doing every morning and taking out every night. Yeah.
So you started as a cinematographer, correct me if I'm wrong, or you've done cinematography before.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned before kind of, having that moment of thinking, oh, if I learn how to use a camera, I can make my own films. And so I learned how to use a camera, and then it became something I loved. I loved operating, and I loved lighting, and I loved the whole thing really. And because I started doing that a little before the rest of my classmates, I kind of became the go-to DP for all of my friends' student films. And then when I graduated school, it was easily the like most marketable and thing I had the most fun doing, other than directing. And so for the better part of 10 plus years, that was what I did. Spent my entire like adult life on film sets, DPing, cam mopping, a little, some ACing, some gaffing, but mostly working in camera department, a little bit of post production as well. Certainly edited all my own films and have spent time editing for other people, but I much prefer being on set to being on a computer.
Uh, for the record, same. But yeah, just the description you're giving about like you don't want the movies to look like every other movie. There's a distinct look, and it's not even that it's inherently wrong, but you should want your work to stand out. And the work here stood out very well. There's
Oh,
it,
thank you.
it has the melancholy tone like I was talking about, like the atmosphere's there where it's like I should feel more welcomed into the bar, but it's like such a dive bar that it's like no one should spend Christmas Eve there. And just yeah, the lighting between like the steps people are on the counter or right on the bar itself. And I love the use of like the practical lamp right there when
Hmm.
like early on, like even when the two girls walk in, and I don't know, it was so well lit and well blocked out. It did not feel like another smaller independent film that maybe would have done everything in singles. A lot of people like singles right now.
Yeah.
I'm not here to
Which
talk
isn't to say the
shit,
movie doesn't
but
have singles in it. It's got
oh, of
plenty,
course, yeah.
but yeah,
Um,
but yeah, no, I mean, it's just that thing. I've shot so many movies that look like that. and I think I've just become a little bored by it, and it didn't. When I was reading the script, at no point did I feel like, yes, the way to perfectly capture this story is a face filling every single frame. It's a
Um,
movie very much about a place. I wanted you to always feel the place and feel like stuck in it, you know.
yeah. Um, this is maybe too random, but like, was Cheers at any point a reference for you? You have a history with Cheers, for example.
I really don't. A lot of people have brought it up to me, and I've seen an episode here or there, but it just was never one of the shows on my roster. I've certainly seen a lot of Always Sunny. I think I've seen all of Always Sunny, actually. I spent like a weekend catching up on the stuff I hadn't seen, but yeah, Cheers was never a big one for me. But now that I've like done a bar movie, I kind of want to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you should. One of the better like sitcoms production wise, like they take full advantage of the
Hmm.
space. It's like it's a four camera sitcom, but
Yeah.
it's got a directional like area to it. You can move around the bar for setups and stuff. It's not too isolated. The actors get to play around. Like it's the closest I could think of a sitcom being theatrical. You know what I mean?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so a little less melancholy, I would say, but there's some moments. There's got moments
Yeah.
that are worth
Yeah.
checking out.
I think when that much alcohol is involved, there's always the darker side of things, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like have you seen Another Round?
Oh, I love Another Round. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I thought a lot about Another Round while making this for
Oh,
sure.
that makes so much sense. That just popped in my head right now, but that makes so much sense. And yeah, love that movie. And it's a very fun comedy, and it's like we'll just be a little drunk all the time. What could happen?
It's the greatest like premise for a film like ever. It's so funny and so clever. Yeah, I really love that movie, and I love the turns it takes as well. I won't spoil them for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it it does go places that you're kind of like, I guess I kind of always knew it was gonna go here, but I wish it wouldn't have done.
Yeah, it's the gentlest way I could describe that film is that people not literally but figuratively stay at a party a little too long.
Yeah,
Um
definitely.
and then way too long. But yeah, is I guess just in your history as well as a podcaster, Eye of the Duck.
Hmm.
Um like clearly you're someone who loves movies. Some people make movies and they don't love movies, and that's perfectly fine. It's a job's a job, you know what I mean? But you're
Sure.
someone who clearly has a very deep well of knowledge and inspiration from cinema as well as life. Um, Not to do a letterbox top four or anything like that, but do you have any other like cinematic touchstones where you're like, this is what you always go back to? Do you have like a
Totally.
movie watching ritual or something to prep for a project or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I can tell you some of the movies that influenced this, but I'll just say that the I'll say like I think like my two favorite movies. Well, that's too hard. It's too hard. But I think the movies that I do tend to go back to the most. The first is Danny Boyle's Train Spotting, which I think is just basically the greatest movie ever made. Uh, I've weirdly have like a history with that movie, like dating back before I ever saw it, because my mum is like it's like a compulsion of hers to like spoil movies. She just like cannot help herself. If you start talking about a film with her, like she's gonna tell you what happens at the end. It's just gonna happen. And I think I was way too young. I must have been like 7 years old or something. And my parents, I think, had just seen it. And my mum just like told me the whole like plot of Train Spotting from start to finish, like including like all the visual language. Like she was describing the scenes as they appeared in the film, things like the worst toilet in Scotland, and telling me like the visual gags about like the suppositories, and like the baby on the ceiling and the withdrawal scene. Like she's telling me like the visual like narrative of this film. And so when I was old enough to kind of track it down and watch it, it like completely blew me away. And it was this weird thing where I was like, it's somehow like enriched by the fact that there's a part of my brain that was like waiting for these images. because I had had them described so vividly to me at an age that was too young to have been been seeing them. Um, and I love everything about that film. I think Danny Boyle's the best. I mean, I love all of his work, but that's my favorite. And I watched that movie with a pretty regularly. Like anytime I'm writing something, I end up going back to it because I think there's just so much to learn in terms of how you can even get in and out of scenes. The way that movie moves is so specific and interesting. And I'm a very visually driven filmmaker, and I feel like I've definitely um, stolen many of Mr. Boyle's tricks. And then another one, I love New York movies. I love the kind of night in New York films in particular, and so After Hours is obviously a huge one. My last short film, Misprint, is very much sort of like After Hours meets Mikey and Nicky. That one's it's a little more Mikey and Nicky than After Hours. The feature length version is a little more After Hours than Mikey and Nicky, but I love that movie very, very much. I love seeing Scorsese kind of stripping himself back, being denied of the budgets and tools that he would normally have access to, the cast he would normally have access to, even the kind of genre space he would typically, have access to, and resetting himself and kind of like cleansing himself through the act of making that movie. And yeah, I love it very dearly.
Yeah, between Boyle and Scorsese, the visual interest in your filmmaking, it's very clear right now, and obviously in the movie you made as well. That being said, you gotta get some more Dutch angles in there next time.
I
You
know,
gotta.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day because I just went to go see I went to the New York premiere of a feature I shot called Caravan, which is actually directed by Jeff White, who's the star of this movie.
Oh, look at that.
And yeah, well, we're good buds. We like working together, and there were a couple of Dutch angles in it that I had like forgotten that we had done. And I was like, oh man, like I didn't really go Dutch in Drink and Be Merry.
You're just saving those bullets. You don't want to
Yeah,
overdo it. That's all that's happening.
exactly.
Although, I love some Dutch angles. I mean, I'm here in the Kenneth Branagh fandom being like, no, he's got to do more, Like people are like, "Oh, I hate it when he," and I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Every day, every 5 minutes I need one."
Did you see Haunting in Venice?
I did. It made me so happy.
I kind of loved it. I
I did
mean,
too.
he put a snorri cam on Poirot. I mean, that's like the like he went fucking nuts.
Yeah. Because in for our mutual friend Cameron Carpenter,
Hmm.
we're in a group chat with other filmmakers and
Yeah,
people that we're very close to who are operate in the industry, and we're both the biggest Kenneth Branagh fans, clearly in there.
hell
And
yeah.
he saw it before me, and he told me like, "You buckle up, you're gonna love it." And I was like, "Okay." Like I haven't, I love Kenneth Branagh. I haven't loved one,
Yeah,
and there's a second there where I was like, "Oh no." And yeah, I came out raving, being like, "You know what? That's the best shot movie of the year. It should
it
get
looked
best
great. Yeah.
cinematography." Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I did not expect that movie to come up in conversation, but you have made me very happy today. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Um, yeah, all right. Let's start winding down a little bit. So, all right, the movie will be released
Sure.
at
Yeah. I
a
mean,
time
whenever
to
you
be
want.
determined. Um, hopefully,
Well, depending on when this airs, the movie is releasing on video on demand and Blu-ray and DVD on December 2nd, so right in time for the holidays. And yeah, we'll be on a couple of video on demand platforms, and the Blu-ray and DVD will be available from Amazon and Walmart.
great. Then I'll release this closer to that. Like we had discussed a little bit before, but I want to make sure this gets all the attention it rightfully deserves. Um, Clearly, very busy person. What's in store for the future? All that stuff is tends to be out of our hands, but if
Totally.
is there anything you talk about, anything you're excitedly working on that maybe you could drop little inklings of?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to do a feature length version of Misprint at some point in my life, and I should have said Misprint is co-written by a good friend Cam Carpenter. So, yeah, everyone's in the mix here. But yeah, so I would love to do a feature length version of that someday. Script is it's just sitting on my hard drive. I am working on some new scripts myself, and I'm available to DP. And other than that, I'm working on my podcast, Eye of the Duck. It's a podcast where we cover genres or franchises from start to finish. We do like a very rich, detailed production history, and then we search for the Eye of the Duck scene, which is what it's a concept we've stolen from David Lynch. Lynch, when he's on the press tour for Blue Velvet, he's asked a very normal question and responds in a very Lynchian way, and starts talking about ducks and how every duck has, its bill is one speed, its tail is another speed, its flippers are a different speed. But if you look at the duck's eye, it contains everything that the duck is and everything that the duck could be, and it's at the perfect place and the perfect speed and all this stuff, which then turns into a conversation about, well, do you think, David, that every movie has an Eye of the Duck scene? And he says, yes, I do. And we've extrapolated that into hundreds of episodes of we find what each of us, my co-host and I, Dominic Nero, who also edited Drinking Me Merry, trying to figure out what are the Eye of the Duck scenes in basically every film. And we are about to start. So by the time this comes out, it'll be in progress. We're doing a series on the kind of the story of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. So we're kind of starting in the 60s and covering things like Jason and the Argonauts, going through the animated movies in the 70s, leading into the trilogy, and following that up with a kind of a look at some of the films that are greenlit in the wake of Rings, as studios try to recapture that magic for themselves. And then we'll close it out with one of the Hobbits.
Oh, okay, just one. No comment.
We'll do the other ones on Patreon.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. I do a retrospective series here on the Waffle Press Movie Podcast, and for fun, we closed out our failed fantasy blockbuster series. They're failures critically at the box office, not always in our hearts. It's kind of our
Mm.
mantra, right? So naturally, we ended with the opposite of a failure, which was like an 11-hour live stream of us watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so we streamed it on YouTube, and we just kept going, kind of hopping in and out
11
as we needed
hours. Oh
to.
my God.
It was a lot. I would not do that again, but if they paid me to, I would. But yeah, so I love. I mean, Lord of the Rings is the best shit ever. So yeah, I can't wait to hear that once
Oh
that's
yeah.
released. And yeah, congratulations on the film. Next
Thanks so
time you're in
much.
LA, reach out. I'd love to take you to the dive bar I was referring to. It's called
Oh,
Tony's Saloon for the
absolutely.
record. I'm not gatekeeping it. It's great. It's on 7th Street. Go support them. It rules.
Hell
Also,
yeah.
pool is free on Wednesdays. But yes, Adam Volerich, thank you so much for coming on. I
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great to meet you. Let's keep
Likewise.
in touch. I'm trying to be more outspoken about being a filmmaker myself and like committing to actually getting a feature off the ground in the
Mm-hmm.
next year. And again, I will do as much possible within my own hands. And frankly, I'm trying to talk to more filmmakers just to get some more advice and everything like that. So that's what the show's
Totally.
kind of for. And you did such a great job already that
Thank you
any
so
expertise
much.
I could get my hands on, I'd really appreciate. But yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely.
much. Drink and be merry, December 2nd. Go check it out. And Adam, thank you so much again. Where can people find you? Any last minute social media plugs or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm on pretty much all social media at Adam Vole. That's Vole. You can watch my movies, my shorts, and you can find info on Drink and Be Merry at adamvolerich.com. That's Volerich. And Eye of the Duck airs every Monday wherever you get your podcasts. And Eye of the Duck After Hours, our Patreon show, airs every Wednesday on our Patreon.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We have been professionally unprofessional.